Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval addresses BRICS NSA meet, calls upon BRICS nations to unite against terror, cyber risk and disruptive technologies. 12 Indians among 13 killed in explosion at a factory in Laffan, industrial city in Qatar. India reaching out to render assistance to all affected families. US temporarily suspends sanctions on Iranian oil, claims Iran would allow nuclear weapons inspections. Trump says Hormuz is totally open. And in FIFA World Cup, Argentina and France reach knockout stage. Argentinian star Lionel Messi becomes all-time leading World Cup scorer, while Haaland scores twice on Norway's World Cup return after 28 years. Our top story, India is hosting the 16th BRICS National Security Advisors meeting today. The meeting is being chaired by National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, who received his counterparts or representatives from BRICS countries. The meeting is now underway, during which NSA's heads of delegation of BRICS member countries are exchanging views on the theme non-traditional security challenges confronting the world today. They are discussing the rapidly evolving nature of national security challenges, as well as the role of new technologies in emerging security threats. The National Security Advisors, heads of delegation, are also reviewing the outcomes of the recently held BRICS joint working groups on counter-terrorism and on security in the use of information and communication technologies. Addressing the BRICS National Security Advisors meeting, India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval called upon the BRICS nations to unite against terror, cyber risk and disruptive technologies.
We need to be cognizant, friends, of the new security threats and challenges. Non-traditional threats have transcended national borders and have developed defeat systems against conventional responses. Innovative, disruptive technologies, more camouflaged variants of terrorism, cyber threats in a world which is getting increasingly digitized, they all constitute an important threats for us. Today we will be navigating some of these non-traditional security challenges in our collective deliberations here.
And speaking on the MOU reached between the US and Iran, Ajit Doval said that the deal will help energy security and the opening of the Strait of Hormuz is a very welcome development.
India welcomes the MOU reached between the US and Iran. We have got cautious optimism and we hope that it will work. It will help energy security. Opening of the Strait of Hormuz is a very welcome development. It will remove supply chain bottlenecks and many of the shortages in the field of, say, fertilizers and chemicals, etc., will be met with. And the freedom of navigation that will be available to the countries in the region and beyond probably will also greatly improve our economic prosperity.
All right, let's go across to DD India's Akhilesh Suman. He has more information on this. Hi Akhilesh, India is chairing the 16th BRICS National Security Advisors meeting. Tell us what are the key issues dominating the discussions and highlights of what NSA said.
You know that one of the major things you can say that is the central theme that is non-traditional security challenges. These non-traditional security challenges are the ones which are really impinging upon everyone's life, every nation's life, and every region's life. And that is why that when the BRICS 11 BRICS national security advisors are sitting together today, I think that they are discussing right from that use of artificial intelligence by the terrorists, also like digital protection, cyber security, and also that how to counter terrorism and what can be the best way to cooperate against the terrorist activities around the globe, and especially in the BRICS nations. That terrorists have also using financial transactions through different modes. So that is also one of the major discussions, that how to stop financial transactions to the terrorists, because stopping the finance to the terrorist is much important than anything else to secure the whole BRICS nation, because BRICS are the countries which are emerging. BRICS are the countries which are full of aspirations, and they reflect the voice of global south, the sense of global south. And in that situation, non-traditional security challenges are quite important. Other than those non-security challenges, we have heard that the situation in West Asia is also discomforting for everyone in the BRICS nations. Russia-Ukraine conflict is still going on, and that is also one of the major issues. And in fact, two of the BRICS members, Russia and Iran, are already in conflict, though ceasefire agreement has been signed between USA and Iran, about which NSA Ajit Doval remarked with a cautious optimism. So this is the cautious optimism that is keeping the BRICS nations together, because they have to develop and they have to counter the issues which are confronting against those development initiatives around the BRICS countries.
Right.
So I think today's meeting is very important, because that BRICS summit is going to take place later half in this year, chaired by India. It is in September. So I think that last month there was BRICS foreign ministers meeting also in Delhi, though Wang Yi, one of the major members of BRICS, the Chinese foreign minister, could not come because of Donald Trump was visiting Beijing. But it seems that like yesterday Ajit Doval met Wang Yi, and Ajit Doval also met other members of the BRICS nations NSA. So I think that this meeting is going to be very important, because all BRICS nations are feeling that global supply chain is harmed because of different types of conflict, and also because terrorist activities around the globe. Even some state and non-state actors are involved in those terrorist activities. So I think that today's meeting of NSA is quite important for all these perspectives.
Absolutely. NSA level meeting feed into broader BRICS agenda and preparations, like you said, for the upcoming Leaders Summit in the month of September. We'll leave it at that. Thank you for your input, Sakhilesh. In a significant advancement for India's fertilizer security, 4 cargo ships carrying vital shipments of urea, ammonium phosphate and sulfur successfully crossed the Strait of Hormuz last week. The ships are headed to 4 ports: Krishnapatnam, Kakinada, Paradeep and Mundra. Upon arrival, the cargo will be offloaded to supplement existing fertilizer buffers and secure ongoing agricultural requirements. India's cumulative fertilizer stock stood at 196.08 lakh tons as of June 22, 2026, up from 168.67 lakh tons a year ago. Urea inventory rose to 81.44 lakh tons from 69.21 lakh tons. DAP climbed to 20.92 lakh tons from 16 lakh tons last year. NPKs improved to 55.91 lakh tons against 46.13 lakh tons in the year-ago period. Total fertilizer sales reached 153.4 lakh tons between March 1st and June 21st, 2026, reflecting strong agricultural demand. Government has maximized indigenous manufacturing capabilities alongside targeted import arrivals. India has also contracted 17.70 lakh tons of urea in its latest global tender. Total secure supplies of urea and PNK fertilizers is over 90 lakh tons for the Kharif season. Fertilizer procurement strategy coordinated with 28 Indian missions abroad. The initiative helped establish a steady and diversified supply of fertilizers. Government is coordinating with all stakeholders to ensure uninterrupted fertilizer supply across the country. Moving further, 12 Indians were among 13 people killed in an explosion at a factory in the Laffan industrial city in Qatar. The explosion at the Barzan local gas supply facility at Laffan industrial city, which is operated by Qatar Energy LNG, injured 66 people, including Indians. All injured are in stable condition and are receiving appropriate medical treatment. All those who got injured in the incident are in stable condition and are receiving appropriate medical treatment. The Indian Embassy in Doha is working in close contact with the Qatari authorities to extend all possible help to the Indian nationals and the families affected by this incident, including ensuring that mortal remains of the deceased are sent to India at the earliest. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar, in a social media post next, expressed deep sadness by the loss of lives and injuries, including of Indian nationals, in the explosion at Qatar's Ras Laffan industrial city. He informed that the Indian Embassy continues to be in touch with Qatari authorities and is reaching out to render assistance to the families of Indian nationals affected by this tragedy. Our thoughts and prayers are with the victims and their families. All right, shifting focus, technical talks between Iran and the United States in Switzerland have concluded, with negotiating groups to be set up on nuclear issues and sanctions, establishing a 60-day roadmap towards a final peace deal. Both nations have agreed to a series of mutual concessions to de-escalate tensions in West Asia. Vice President J.D. Vance described the talks as having laid a very good foundation, adding that the teams had discussed the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz and de-confliction for the regional ceasefire. Vance also said that Tehran had agreed to invite IAEA inspectors back to the country, calling it a major milestone and the first step in permanently denuclearizing Iran. Vance said Iranian assets had not yet been unfrozen as part of the deal.
We're working with our allies, from the Israelis to the Gulf Arabs, to make sure that sticks, and we feel very, very good about where that is. We have the Iranians allowing weapons inspectors, nuclear inspectors into their country for the first time in a long time. We're obviously going to bolster that inspection regime to make sure they can never have a nuclear weapon. And finally, we continue to make progress on these technical negotiations. We actually asked the Qataris to help us set up the mechanism so that we can ensure that the money goes where we want it to go. That money is not going to be unfrozen unless we continue to see progress, and that'll obviously be a big part of the negotiation in the days to come.
However, Iranian state media and negotiators have given mixed signals, emphasizing a policy of commitment for commitment. Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesman Ismail Baghai listed the topics discussed as the establishment of a multi-party mechanism to end hostilities in Lebanon, Iran's oil and petrochemical exports, and the release of Iran's frozen assets. In response to the outcomes, Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian said on Monday that Iran has engaged in the negotiations with dignity and confidence without offering any concessions. Meanwhile, the United States has suspended sanctions on Iranian oil on Monday after Vice President J.D. Vance said Iran would allow UN nuclear inspectors to return to the country. The U.S. Treasury Department on Monday issued a temporary 60-day general license authorizing the production, delivery and sale of Iranian original oil and petroleum products through August 21st. Iranian oil can even be imported directly into the U.S. under the sanctions relief. It unlocks banking transactions, insurance and transportation, and does away with the complex networks that Iran has previously used to sell crude. And U.S. President Donald Trump warned Iran that he would do what I have to do if Tehran fails to honor its agreement with Washington. Speaking at the White House, Trump defended the interim U.S.-Iran deal and claimed funds being unfrozen for Iran would ultimately benefit American farmers through food purchases. His remarks came after Iranian officials pushed back on claims that Tehran is obligated to buy agricultural products exclusively from the United States.
Well, I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to do, but it gets solved. I'm a problem solver. I get problems solved real fast, including with Bibi. As long as they respect us. I don't want to use the word fear, because that's an inappropriate word. But as long as they respect us, we're not going to have any trouble. We have total control of the strait.
So the mechanism.
You know, we have a Navy that had a blockade. I think the blockade was more impactful than dropping bombs, if you want to know the truth. It was, like I said, they call it the steel wall. Nobody got through. Not one ship got through, able to go to Iran.
All right, still to come on this edition of DD India Live. Stay with us for a quick roundup on the global weather patterns. And Canada observes National Day of Remembrance for victims of terrorism.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy, always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the Economic Brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
And the Commission for the Investigation of Abuse of Authority has filed a case of corruption against 16 individuals, including Director General of Department of Passport, Tirthraj Aryal, at the Special Court in Kathmandu. The case has been filed against the department's Director General Aryal and Information Technology Director Sunil Kumar Kesi with a compensation claim of Rs 10 billion. Separately, the CIAA has claimed Rs 8.22 billion in damages from Siddharth Thapa, the Nepal representative of German firm Veridos GmbH, which secured the passport printing contract. An additional claim of Rs 1.90 billion has been filed against Manindraj Malla, the Nepal representative of Mehalbor. The commission alleges that the accused were involved in collusion between public officials and supplier companies to gain illegal benefits. It further stated that the bid evaluation process, including technical and financial assessments, was conducted in violation of prevailing laws. The CIAA said the alleged corruption resulted in a total loss of Rs 10.13 billion to the Department of Passport. All right, global weather updates now. A severe heat wave has gripped Europe with temperatures nearing 40 degrees Celsius across several countries as the region faces an increasingly early and prolonged pattern of extreme heat. Spain sweltered on Monday as the heat wave pushed temperatures above 40 degrees Celsius across much of the country, with highs reaching 42 degrees Celsius in south of Spain. A red alert was also issued in the Basque Country, where San Sebastian was expected to reach around 40 degrees Celsius. In Madrid, the temperatures reached about 45 degrees Celsius, making conditions very hard for outdoor workers. Madrid City Hall has opened climate shelters to help homeless people cope with extreme heat, especially those on the streets. Madrid has been experiencing its first heat wave of the summer since Sunday, with temperatures exceeding 40 degrees Celsius. Now, France has extended heat wave warnings, with more regions now under the highest alert. Many schools have closed or changed schedules because of the extreme heat. Temperatures are expected to reach about 42 degrees Celsius in Bordeaux and around 38 degrees in Paris. Now, Canada is observing National Day of Remembrance for Victims of Terrorism. This annual day of mourning honors all individuals affected by acts of terror worldwide and marks the anniversary of the 1985 bombing of Air India Flight 182, which is considered to be one of the deadliest acts of aviation terrorism in Canadian history.
On this day, 41 years ago, an Air India Flight 182 Boeing 747 en route from Toronto to London and onwards to India disintegrated mid-air at 31,000 feet off the coast of Ireland. The explosion was caused by a suitcase bomb planted by Canada-based Khalistani extremists. All 329 passengers
All right, let's talk about FIFA World Cup 2026 in a World Cup match that was delayed for over 2 hours because of thunder and lightning in the Philadelphia area. It was France star Kylian Mbappe who made it rain while the game was being played. The result has France, who could return to Philadelphia to play Germany on July 4 with 6 points from 2 games after beating Senegal 3-1 in their opener. Lionel Messi became the all-time leading goal scorer at the World Cup as Argentina beat Austria 2-0 in Dallas, confirming his side's place in the knockouts. Ralf Rangnick's men struggled for quality in the second half before a stoppage time break saw Messi have an effort blocked before he tucked home his 18th in tournament history. In another game, Egypt beat New Zealand 3-1 to claim the nation's first ever World Cup victory. Egypt were a goal down at half-time but turned the match on its head in the second half, with Mohamed Salah contributing a goal and an assist. Even a defeat would still most likely see Egypt make the knockout stages for the first time at the World Cup. That's all for this edition of DD India Live, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile application. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. From all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.